For July the 19th, 2024, we talk about Still Wakes the Deep, Abiotic Factor, The Last Clockwinder, and much more. Welcome to Level 508. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, Dennis.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're just people are taking turns not being here, and Jala has been has been a champ about filling in.
Yes, she is awesome. I'm glad we are able to up the quota.
Yeah.
And man, did I load up on fun stories to bring back to y'all. So,
yeah, what'd you go do?
So we went to the Smoky Mountains and stayed in a cabin near Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
Which is an extremely touristy section.
It's landlocked Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
People don't know, but that's actually where they forage the nation's supply of pigeons.
Yep.
Yeah, it really kind of went bust once we stopped relying on carrier pigeons as our main form of communication. But they've reinvented themselves. Mm-hmm. Like to the tune of a pirate's dinner and a show, where it's basically like a acrobat show with diving and pirate themes while you eat an unhealthy amount of stuff.
It's in the it's in the medieval times the medieval times genre of establishment.
Are they
officially endorsed or created by Dolly Parton? So,
Oh, so what is pirate themed food? Like, I don't know that I associate pirates with anything other than like getting scurvy.
That's why there's oranges everywhere.
I'm just picturing really, really deep fried seafood.
No seafood. Weirdly enough, just a big hunk of chicken, on the bone, so you get to rip into that, and corn on the cob was there. Which pirates notoriously missing teeth, so I don't know how thematic that is.
Corn on the cob was there. It makes it sound like it was a special appearance by a musical artist. You're not going to believe it came out for the third verse.
MC Cobb.
Yeah, right.
MC Rib.
Yeah, so just lots of. It was much more Dolly Parton than pirates on the food side, but fun.
So lots of chicken breast.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dolly Parton, she must have started that after everybody realized that Dixie Stampede wouldn't fly anymore. Because that was also her. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. But no, the big thing, we did a bunch of hiking and all that stuff. So we were in nature. That was fun. The big thing that we went to in Pigeon Forge, though, was a newly opened construction theme park.
Okay.
Called Diggin' Zone.
Kids are on site. Yeah.
Yes. And it is like, just, hey, would your child like to drive an excavator? And that's the whole idea.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Sign this waiver first.
No, we didn't have to sign any waivers, amazingly. And it was a blast. Guys, my 3-year-old drove a steamroller.
Okay.
Oh my God.
It was, yeah.
I feel like
it was fantastic.
I feel like, though, if you're really clever marketing, did they sell you things you could like throw in front of the steamroller?
Yes, that was available. That you could buy. It was like a little toy bus, and then drive the steamroller over it, and then take it with you like it was a flattened penny.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a good time. The highlight of it, however, is, like I said, it's newly open, and so like all the staff in the park are like super motivated and very nice. And we were waiting for our turn on the excavators, where literally you can just like dig giant holes in the sand around them. But the guy who's kind of at the gate with us is doing impressions for all the kids. He's doing like SpongeBob and here's my Mickey Mouse and here's Goofy and all this stuff. And Barrett, my 3-year-old, suddenly perks up and he goes, I can do Mickey Mouse. And he goes, oh, let me hear it. And Barrett thinks for a second and then goes, ah, ah, ah. He just starts screaming. Like, don't know what to make of that. Okay. And then he goes, I can do Goofy too. Oh, okay. Well, why don't you do Goofy? She starts screaming.
That is a really good bit.
Everyone sounds the same when they're on fire, so my 3-year-old can do an impression of anyone that's been lit on fire.
I would do not write off the possibility that he knew what he was doing.
It was great. But yeah, so just driving all sorts of things that we should not have been allowed anywhere near. They had like a giant excavator with, instead of a bucket on the end of the arm, it had like Kings Island style seats, and literally the person would like manually swing this thing around in a circle with people screaming on it. And I think my kids rode that 4 times in a row.
They don't let the kids control that, right? It's not kids flinging each other over the horizon.
But the poor guy operating it, like he's spinning as fast as everyone else, and so like after a couple times he's like, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I feel awful saying this, but technically, since he's on the inside of the circle, he's not going as fast as everyone else.
Yeah, rotational velocity. Yeah.
I feel like that's a valid engineer's comment.
Sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
But in terms of like the like inner ear, is it the same? Because you're turning the same number of degrees as everyone else.
Has more to do with the change in acceleration than it does and also the fact that he is controlling it. It's kind of like how you can be perfectly fine driving, but if you're a passenger in a car, suddenly you start getting motion sick.
Maybe he's more drunk than the children, though. So it evens out.
Well, he got brakes.
Okay.
But yeah, that was an absolute blast. Easily the best attraction of the trip. And then I'll get into it later in the show, but our cabin, not only did it have this like gorgeous, amazing view of the mountains, but the like downstairs area of it had not just a multi-arcade cabinet, so like all the old retro Pac-Man, Dig Dug, all that stuff, but they also had an arcade-style racing cabinet.
Ooh.
With Tokyo Drift. So I'll save that for later.
Okay. Yeah.
But even though we were out in the Smoky Mountains, I got some good old fashioned gaming in.
Nice.
So did you see Smokey the Bear?
We did. We saw. Well, it must have been Mrs. Smokey and 3 cubs, and they were just ambling down one of the roads we were driving on, like they owned it, because they kind of do. And it was kind of like, oh, man, I'm really glad I'm in a car right now. And thankfully, we didn't see any bears when we were not surrounded by metal to protect us. But it does feel like we needed to check that box for it to be a legitimate trip to the Smoky Mountains.
Yep, that checks out.
Nice. Sounds like a good trip.
Mm-hmm. And Jen and I have just periodically, when we're at home since we've been back, just turned to each other and gone, ah!
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's see. Ben, what you been up to?
Oh man, I don't know why I was caught off guard with that question, because I should have totally known that was coming.
I forgot I was here.
Not a whole lot. I took my partner disc golfing for the first time over the weekend, so that was exciting.
But are you still together?
Yes, she actually enjoyed it. So she likes being in nature, and I like disc golfing, so it's a happy compromise. But after taking her to a board game place last weekend, this is the second time in a row where it's mostly dudes around in their 30s, and so pointed that out. So I'm starting to feel self-conscious about that. But yeah, it was an enjoyable time.
You have to go somewhere now where it's all people her age.
I mean, we're the same age.
All chicks are age.
There we go.
I was going to say,
I guess the gender part of that is more important.
Yeah. I immediately started doing a bunch of math, and I was like, hey, Ben,
I mean, I guess there's a 2-month difference, so I guess there could be something.
Yeah.
Amateurs.
I don't want age gap discourse to come to the podcast.
All right. I guess we didn't do a whole lot this past weekend, but we're preparing this coming weekend. We're going on a trip to Canada, so that should be fun. So yeah, and it's for our 1-year anniversary. This is maybe too much personal information, but anyway, I'll stop at it there. But yeah, but that'll be fun. It'll be going to like a nice like wine country type area, but mostly just hanging out and relaxing and being in nature. So
that sounds wonderful.
And I mean, for no reason in particular, you could look for maybe a place to stay in the future.
Yeah, save me a spot.
It's definitely in my mind after these this past weekend. So yeah.
Yeah. Moxie, how about you?
Yeah, so this weekend we had another of our B movie nights. So this time we watched The Devil Bat.
The what?
So I assume no one has heard of this.
No, I've not.
Okay, so I have to read the IMDb description of this summary of the movie. Quote, a mad scientist, played by Bela Lugosi, develops an aftershave lotion that causes his gigantic bats to kill anyone who wears it.
Awesome. So Axe.
So at what point does he stop being an inventor and start being a bat like a bat master? Because I think that point happens somewhere in that sentence.
Yeah, so it's also got a kind of a weird anti-capitalist message because he's basically, his whole motivation is to kill off the CEO and everyone of the company he works for because they, took his invention and, paid him like $1,000 and then, became millionaires off of it.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. I'd probably.
So, yeah.
His invention was a scent, like a perfume or cologne?
Yes, it was. Yes. So, it's a very strange movie. Bela Lugosi's always great. So, that pretty much sells it. And it's pretty amazing that the bat is just straight up like a big rubber bat that's like on a wire sometimes.
Perfect.
And just kind of like, boops people in the face and then they like, rolling around on the ground with this bat on top of them.
Nice.
But then they will periodically do quick cuts to like first person shots, which is, stock footage of a bat. Except that they use this stock footage of just this adorable fruit bat.
Not the same bat at all.
Not the same bat, and also not at all menacing. Just kind of, it's sort of like, just kind of looking at the camera and doing whatever the bat equivalent of a smile is.
And fruit bats, those don't even have the the scary bat face, like the real flat one.
Exactly.
Fruit bats have the cute little dog face, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's it's very funny.
Huh.
But it was a really good time. Surprisingly good movie. I think I've mentioned we also watch Flash Gordon, which if you've never seen it before, is definitely worth seeing just for all the weird, budget cuts, strange writing. I think my favorite thing is their approach to quote unquote cliffhanger endings is just at the end of each episode, they just straight up kill Flash Gordon. And then at the beginning of the next episode, just ignore that and continue on.
It's Kenny from before.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it'll be things where it's like, you'll like fall down a bottomless pit. It'll be like, oh, how will he survive? And then the next episode will just start like a couple minutes before and he doesn't fall, or like a couple of seconds before and he doesn't fall down the bottomless pit.
Perfect.
I've decided not to.
It's like reloading a save.
Yep.
Huh.
Also, one of the alien species that is like helping him to fight Ming the Merciless is straight up just we had extra Robin Hood costumes. So everyone in those weird like bicorn hats and longbows.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like that period of sci-fi.
Pretty great though is the fact that there's all these scenes, like so much of the action of that era is just like, oh, the villain captures the hero, and then that's an excuse for an episode of like evil monologuing and locking someone up so that there's time for people to rescue him. But a side effect of that is, in order to make that work, the villain can't just straight up kill the person, which creates the hilarious situation in which there's multiple episodes where Ming the Merciless is just like, I will show mercy on you this time.
It's the joke. It's the joke from Austin Powers. And activate the ridiculously slow dipping device. Yeah. Huh. I don't have an awful lot. I was having a good day on Saturday because I went.
You should note the time on that. Maybe.
Yes, I was. Yeah. Well, no, I woke up and I was like, I want to go see a movie, and so I went and saw Longlegs.
How was it?
Yeah, it's good. It's not like the new Silence of the Lambs. Like, it's not reaching that level of excellence, but it's really entertaining.
Okay.
It's Nicolas Cage comes out of nowhere and is fantastic versus, Nicolas comes out of nowhere and is terrible.
I mean, this has started a whole bunch of, is Nicolas Cage a good actor kind of discourse. And I want to say he always commits to a performance, whether or not it benefits the product.
He's the fucking best Nicolas Cage I know.
Yeah.
I think he's successssly gone out of the good bad actor barometer, and he's just in his own planet.
Yeah, he's just kind of his own thing, which is great. It's not many like that. I didn't even know that Nicolas Cage was in it because I hadn't seen it.
I think they hid that, right?
I don't know.
No.
I never watched a trailer. I only saw people like obliquely say, "Oh, this is a good horror movie," and I was like, "I'd like to. I like good horror movies. I would one ticket, please." Yeah, and I was riding high on that and playing games, and then
the life stuff.
I'm curious, because I've never gone and seen a horror movie in the theater.
Okay.
And like being in a theater watching something changes the experience so much, especially like, action movie, people like cheer when someone shows up or whatever. And I'm very curious on the atmosphere for horror movies. If people like it becomes a rooting for the bad guy kind of thing, or if everyone's just kind of shuddering together. Like, were there even enough other people to create that experience?
It was I went at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and I was surprised at how many people were there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, there were a bunch of people, which is not usual. I very specifically go to movies at that time to not be in a room with a bunch of people. I've been to several horror movies with that have been crowded, right? And I've never had like the audience plays along kind of thing, kind of deal. Like maybe you'll hear some gasp or whatever, but I'm also not paying attention to them. I don't feed off the crowd. So
for me, that's like, depending on the movie, that's a huge part of it.
Oh yeah. Well, especially for the B movie stuff, like that is specifically made bearable by being with other folks.
Yeah, Sharknado was amazing in theaters.
Yeah.
I will say that I saw a movie called In a Violent Nature like a month ago, and I would not recommend it unless you're really into horror movies, but
oh yeah.
I said out loud, Jesus fucking Christ, at one part of the movie. So I think there was a nice crowd bonding in that one, but it's for a very particular type of people.
Yeah, I want to watch that just because the premise on that is interesting. I know people didn't have the patience for it, but I'm a sicko.
Have you seen sorry, this just comes up because I'm looking at like showtimes in my area and they're showing it. Have you seen any of the stuff for Kill?
No.
It's basically what if Bollywood did the raid?
Okay. Ooh. Yeah. Sounds like it'd be good.
Looks amazing. Like it's just dude is on a train for some reason and everyone wants to kill him, so he has to kill them harder.
Okay. Yeah, well, that sounds great. I don't know. That's the first time hearing of it.
It's supposed to be really good, but yeah, sorry, that was just.
But yeah, that's really all I have. I just wanted to bring up that I went and saw that movie. Otherwise, I've been, yeah. So I think we should talk about games, and to do that, we need to have the regular kind of episode. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about what we've been playing over the past period of time or so. Dennis, what you got for us?
Let me tell you about Tokyo Drift.
So, Fast and Furious arcade game?
Yes, Fast and Furious arcade game, complete with like the little, number box on the side where you could enter your phone number or really any pin to save your progress.
Yeah.
From that era where graphics were just bad enough to be mixed in really kind of funny ways. Mm-hmm. So all the crowd members are like Mortal Kombat sprite style, FMV almost characters. But then as the camera pans around, they didn't bother to match any camera movement to it, so they kind of like weirdly spin on the floor as they do their little like victory dance.
Yeah, they face toward you like Doom enemies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It also like when you are playing it, for any amount of times more than one time, it becomes really quickly apparent that these maps are very much designed to confuse you on like where shortcuts are.
Okay.
There's a one map is like racing through Malibu. Decided, there's very little in Tokyo for a game.
I was going to say, surprisingly not in Tokyo.
Malibu, Japan.
I got the sense that maybe this was a previous Fast and Furious game and they added a couple maps and put new stickers on the cabinet or something.
Yeah.
But there's like S-bends winding down a big hill in the Malibu map, and some of the ledges you can jump off of to like shortcut and take some time off. Other ledges, it'll knock you right back onto the street. And there's no, that I could find, differentiator between the two. You just kind of have to know. Like, the second one I can jump off of. The other ones are bad.
When you do that, does like Vin Diesel say something about, they call that the Star Road technique?
This is very clearly done with licensing of the title, but of nothing else from the franchise.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is not a star to be found among them.
To be fair, isn't Tokyo Drift the one that just has no connection to any of the rest of the movies?
I think it takes place after most of them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I think there's a cameo at the end.
I only ever saw the trailer where probably the greatest line of cinema was uttered. Which is, you're not really in control unless you're a little out of control.
Yeah, perfectly meaningless.
Cars going up the parking garage. Anyway,
can I say something?
Go for it.
This, in a safe place and confidence here. I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie.
So if you're going to do it, go for the original, by which I mean the real original, the 1942 Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Can I add like a little side diversion here?
Yes.
The reason why they have all these weird names or whatever is because they have to pay royalties to that original movie if it's like the Fast and the Furious 2. So that's why they call it like Too Fast, Too Furious, or like something completely different. So you'll never see the Fast and the Furious X, Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's dirty
hilarious.
cool. That's what that is.
Also, I need to correct myself. Not 1942. It's apparently 1954. My bad.
Okay. A little bit of a different era. Yeah. No, I don't feel bad about not having seen one. It's just weird that it's been a cultural touchstone since I've been in high school, and I've just never bothered.
Just be careful, because if you go back and watch the first one, it follows the same arc that I feel like all of these franchises do, where the first one's actually like got some merits. They're pretty cool and fun.
They're trying to steal DVD players, right?
I don't remember. But then, it just progressively gets weirder and crazier until I think the last one, someone ramped a tank between bridges of an overpass or something. I forget.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's very much also it gets bad until they decide to lean into being bad, and which case it becomes amazing.
Yeah.
It's the Godzilla arc.
Yes.
It's kind of like a meta with the drifting thing, where it's like they just got to let go of the control and just go with this.
Let these movies be what they're going to be. Yep. Yeah. Like this kind of dumb.
Fast and Furious, let Jesus take the wheel.
This kind of dumb arcade racer, like, yes, there are variations in quality. I think recently, and by recently I mean more than a year ago, played one that's like a Need for Speed one that is basically just like a Burnout kind of thing. Like it has revenge takedowns and all that kind of stuff, and it was really fun. There are variations in how good these are, but I'm pretty much always down to sit down on one of these things and try it. I don't even have to really be engaging with it on like a I am a person playing a video game kind of angle. It's just I turn the wheel and go fast. Everybody look at me.
Well, and
so
the
the
rubber
Ricky
banding that
Bobby
happens
approach to games.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got egregious rubber banding, and it's very much a curated experience of like, it's going to be flashy, and you're going to go fast, and stuff is going to break, and at the end you're going to be neck and neck through the finish line, and that's the deal, and that's fine. I had a lot of fun with that. The only thing that I also wanted to add is this has the little gimmick of you can upgrade your car. And again, if you put in your number, you can actually have like a roster of cards at different levels of upgrade. And they clearly did not put much thought into what these cars would look like when every upgrade is applied. Because you got the engine blocks coming out the top, and like 6 different hydrofoils or foils on the back, and crazy neon under it, and all these cars wind up looking like the silliest caricature of what a street racing car might be.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I want.
Yeah. In Cars, the movie, where the street racers like pass the tractor trailer back and forth while he's falling asleep. Mm-hmm. It's like one of them's got the license plate wings, and he's got like six foils, stacked on top of each other. It's just that, which is fun.
It lets you make the Homer. The car that Homer designs that bankrupts his brother's car company.
That's right.
Yeah, I just I put that in the Slack for anybody who's not fucking poisoned like me.
So I don't like I said, I don't think they expected anyone to actually reach the point where they'd upgraded everything, but the result is quite funny. We had a good time with that. You do the thing where like you double tap the accelerator to get a little speed boost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And our kids got into it because we'd be upstairs, like, getting some food or whatever. And you just hear boom, 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 boom from downstairs. Like, oh, he must be having a good race. So that's the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift arcade racer. I only lament that they didn't have 2 down there so you could do like the playing versus each other, because I feel like that would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there was also a multi-arcade in the basement, which was set up like an arcade cabinet and just a little joystick and a couple buttons, but had like pretty much every Pac-Man game, every Dig Dug game, and all these kind of old classics that you could load up and play. And I had realized that it's just been a while since I've sat down and played Miss Pac-Man, right? Yep. Like, it's one of those things like everybody knows it. It's kind of so foundational, but then it's like I've never like really spent time playing it. So I got a lot of Miss Pac-Man in over the past week, and then also a fair amount of Dig Dug as well.
both are really good games.
Isn't Miss Pac-Man the one that you can't play anymore or something?
I know that there's
doubt it.
a story about that, but I don't know. ROMs exist.
Maybe. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you can't play an original anymore. They're all ports of one kind or another.
There's something.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There's something where like they can't own the rights to specifically calling a Pac-Man Miss Pac-Man or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
I think the case was dismissed. It was a company called At Games that specialized in micro consoles featuring older arcade games, acquired the royalties owed to a previous holding company. Beginning with the Arcade Archives release of Pac-Land in 2022, the Miss Pac-Man character has been removed from games which previously featured her. Okay, so it's new versions. Yeah, because it's basically like trademark trolling is what's going on with that. Okay, so it was not dismissed. Yeah.
Weird.
Huh.
I think there's just something to like this style of game that it's just a frantic race through a level or through a stage or whatever. That they're designing it assuming you're feeding quarters into an arcade machine. That is just really fun, and that I feel like a lot of recent games, they're all designed around live service forever game kind of nonsense, or don't want to be too hard or whatever. That's just very refreshing to go back to something that's very, very basic, very chaotic, and like you're going to wind up losing a life here and there, but you're just squeezing as much joy out of it as you can before that happens.
Yeah.
I won't say I got particularly far in any of them, but the time I spent was extremely fun.
Now,
go back and check out some old arcade games. You might be surprised by how much better they are than you remember.
So did these work for the kids, or was there a thing where like, having never grown up in that generation, they're just like, why is this game so basic?
Yeah, I want to know this too.
Yeah, no, they were all about it. They absolutely loved it. And kind of had their rotating cast of games that they played. And it was, it's funny because there's all, it's like, the Pac-Man Juniors and the Dig Dugs 2.
Yeah.
There's a Dig Dug 2 that like takes place in part in like a 3D space where you can like, chunk off pieces of an island. It's very, very weird. And it's kind of funny to see how like, technology was progressing so fast between iterations that they felt like they had to show off all this new stuff. Doesn't necessarily work, but it's weird to be like, oh, that's Dig Dug? Okay. All right, fine.
So
good.
So my favorite ones, I'd be interested to know if they had either of these, are all the Gauntlet games are amazing, and then the arcade Mario game.
Mm-hmm. Is the Donkey Kong game, do you mean? Or there was a literal arcade Mario game?
The one where like you're in the sewer and you have to jump and like hit the floor under an enemy to knock him over.
Yeah, like the first Mario game, not Super Mario Brothers, but just like Mario Brothers. That's like a head-to-head kind of almost. It's a really weird game.
They have it in Mario 3, right? Like a callback to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, they didn't. They didn't have Gauntlet, and I don't remember seeing the Mario game. Although that sounds a little bit more of a piece with what was on there.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name of it, but like one was 1942. It's all these like top-down flying games, bullet hell flying games.
Yeah, the bullet hell games.
Yeah. I would not categorize 1942 or 1943 as bullet hell. They're just about as tame as they get.
I've only played the more recent ones where it's just like fill all the screen with bullets.
Yeah. Your Tohos and whatnot. Yeah.
But this is the version of that where you're just kind of scrolling across a map and moving around the screen. They loved those. They had Galaga and Centipede, and those were big hits. They little kid patience prevails. They were big fans of everything on there. Mm-hmm. And just the idea of like, man, a PlayStation here roughly a 2 minutes. That's perfect for cycling through.
Oh yeah.
And taking turns. So that worked really well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, because I was traveling, that was kind of my big gaming stuff. We played Slay the Spire, the board game 4-player. Jen jumped in, and that was a lot of fun. One extra player probably at least doubles the amount of time it takes to get through an act of the game. So just be warned. It's a surprising amount of extra decisions and complexity come off of just one more player. And I, played Slay the Spire Downfall on my Steam Deck, but nothing new to really talk about there. So yeah, it was kind of an arcade cabinet kind of week for me.
Cool. That's always fun to share that, I don't know. I say that like I have kids that I've shared arcade games with. Yeah, no.
Certainly you've been in arcades with people younger than you who are enjoying it.
Yeah. Nice. I have one that's kind of new, but I didn't beat it, let's say. So on Friday, I started streaming a game called Still Wakes the Deep.
Oh, yeah, that's been really well received.
Yeah, I was surprised, actually. So this is made by the Chinese Room, developer who got started with Dear Esther, and then, to my mind, kind of meandered through a bunch of stuff that is extremely mechanics light, and they're not necessarily games where a bunch of stuff happens. So the Chinese Room, did Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, right? Which, kind of stripped the game of mechanics and made it more into a walking sim. There's really neat story stuff I like that happens in A Machine for Pigs. I think I'm a little bit kinder to that than most people, but incident light. And then I kind of hopped entirely off board with them with Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which was pretty, but it was just so slow. I just didn't care for it. I didn't even know that this was the Chinese Room. I thought that they had broken up. I thought that they kind of went under as a studio, but they've been keeping on doing stuff, and I am delighted to say that this is a horror game by the Chinese Room that has mechanics.
I mean, that's always a good sign.
It is, yeah. So this takes place in the 1970s. You are on an oil drilling rig off of the coast of Scotland. And, the story just kind of writes itself. They delve too deep and too greedily and pull up something that starts making stuff go wrong. Namely, the workers start mutating. And everything just kind of goes to shit, and you are a person who is trying to get out of this alive. Pretty standard setup as far as things go. What I think sets this apart is presentation for what's going on. Because when I say it has mechanics, so far it's been nothing revelatory, right? Like, there's there are sections where you've got to kind of sneak around because there's a monster who is there, and there are hiding spots, and you can throw stuff to distract them. Well, so we're kind of back in, like, I don't know, 2008, 2009 in terms of mechanics there. But the fact that they're present at all does mean that the presentation is allowed to feel a little bit better. It's not just a really pretty thing. The thing is, it is really pretty. Like, the graphical fidelity on this is actually incredible. On the humans, yes. But also, like, this is some of the, like, coolest body horror monster design that I've seen. There's stuff that is really hard to describe, but one of the first things that you run into that I don't want to, that I do not feel is a spoiler. This actually is I don't know. If you care about this, you're not going to care that that it's coming. So the game Carrion?
Yeah.
Where you're playing as the bit of gore, the monster that is getting around by sending out the tendrils. It's 2D pixel art kind of thing. They figured out how to do that convincingly, like that effect in 3D. So like some of these, these monsters will get around by like just micro grappling themselves with way too many little tentacles. And that actually changes the way like they engage with space, right? So here we have the mechanics interacting with an aesthetic choice. You know, this isn't an enemy that gets around on legs. So the way it can patrol for you is different. See how cool it is?
Geez.
When you have mechanics, it can work with aesthetics. It's delightful.
Do you get weapons?
I have not found weapons. I don't believe this is one where you fight back.
That is my one requirement for action games is must have combat.
I'm
sorry, for horror games.
Yes, but, this is more of a hide and then chase kind of thing. The other thing I want to say about this that is just kind of specific to its setting, is the voice acting on it. It is so aggressively Scottish that the subtitles translate what they're saying into American English. And like you can understand what they're saying, right? Like you can catch you can catch what they mean by that, by what they said, like, oh, my character's an electrician and he talks about how he's good at fixing the lecky. And like, okay, yeah, lecky, probably electricity, right? There we go. Cool. I got it. But it's just very funny that they have the translation built into it. I don't know. I just find that very, very funny.
If you listen to some interviews or commentary from like Scottish sportscasters, you kind of need those.
A little bit, yeah.
Or even just electrical engineers.
Yeah.
Sure,
Double whammy.
And
also
apparently,
go ahead, sir. No.
Well, I was changing topic from this game, so continue on yours.
Yeah. No, I just having it be set in with all these incredibly Scottish people leans into one of my favorite thing about the Scottish people is that their insult game is on point. Like, oh my god,
yes.
Like hearing a Scot just utterly destroy a person with like a few words. Oh god, yeah, you get a ton of that in this, and I'm here for it. What were you gonna say, Dennis?
Well, I was looking at the page for it and brought up what the Chinese room is working on, and apparently they are doing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
That is. I'm a little bit. So I saw that. I saw that they were put on there.
Krusty's coming, guys.
No, a game that literally has been. I think it's been announced for 10 years at this point. No. I saw that they were put on it, and it's like my heart sank because the team that you want on that is Obsidian. And the Chinese room is such a mismatch. I was about to say that I'm a little bit, less skeptical of that having played this, but like, I don't know, Vampire the Masquerade, like it's not a presentational game. Like the fun thing about Bloodlines was, it having all these cool choices and vampire abilities that got you through different kind of scenarios in different ways. Like it's an immersive sim, and to see the Chinese room on that, it is hard for me to think of a developer that I feel less confident can deliver on it.
Oof.
See, now I'm trying to see. I'm not even sure. Does Vampire the Masquerade, as in the the pen and paper game, even exist anymore?
Yeah, no. I have the 5th edition book. I poked through that. I don't know. Yeah, it still exists.
I'm just okay. Yeah, because I know at one point White Wolf went out of business, right?
Yeah, they got bought up by somebody else, and they've continued. Yeah. So yeah, I only did one night of that, so it has it has a good intro. It makes a very good first impression with the creature effects and the crazy cool spooky stuff that's going on. I have all the faith in the world that my next 2 sessions are gonna work great for it. Yeah, I like it. It is good for what it is, and surprising given this developer's track record.
As a side note, it says on the Steam page that it's in the Unreal Engine, so that's probably why there's a noticeable bump in graphic quality.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. They're using their tools
what
well.
were they working in before?
Not that.
Yeah, I've got no idea. It's just Unreal Engine 5 comes with, just good tools to make
pretty.
stuff. Just to make stuff look fun and detailed. Yeah. Cool. It's not just detailed. Like the art direction's amazing. Like it is, very thoroughly 1970s stuff going on. Like, it's not just like they took an asset pack or whatever. Yeah.
It looks dope.
Yeah. So that's all I have. Still Wakes the Deep.
Nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet.
Who
else has something new?
I got stuff that's new to me.
Okay.
If that's good enough. So I got 3 things. I'll knock one out real quick. I finished the Last Clockwinder, which I talked about last week, which is the VR build molecule type game. Just a safety warning about that. I bumped my hand to both my ceiling and the cabinets in front of me, but because I was too emphatically throwing and catching molecules around. So be careful if you ever choose to play that game.
Do you want to know how many times I have thrust my hand upward into my ceiling fan?
How many?
Oh, too many. I know it's there.
It's probably happened 3 or 4 times just on this call.
Yeah.
Keeps it together because he's a pro. Anyway, so I didn't have much to say about that. It's still a good VR game. So if you're looking for something kind of bite-sized to play VR-wise, I would recommend it for sure. Cool. The other one that's new that I mentioned last week is I started playing Dredge. This is thematically similar to what you were talking about, Kole, where this is like a Lovecraftian type game, but it's an independent game. I think it's made by a New Zealand company. I could be wrong about that. Mm-hmm. And the premise of it is you are a fisherman who kind of wrecks their boat at night because it's very foggy, and you wake up in a town, you talk to the mayor of this town, and they give you a boat to start paying them back and that you can continue fishing and making money. But there's a day-night cycle, and at night, a heavy fog rolls in every night. There's a lighthouse by the town that is kind of your center post for keeping your bearings, but things start to get very spooky at night, and your sanity starts to go down, and then strange things start happening, and you will either die by your hallucinations or you'll run into rocks at night. So often you will need to go find shelter and sleep until morning and then go out that way.
I love
Sometimes
the way
you
they
do both at the same time.
I love the way they handle damage to your boat. Like I think the most interesting thing about this, we did it for WAF, and I wish it was scarier. And the loop did wear thin a little bit, but like the boat damage thing is really great, where like everything, like your health is the available cargo space you have, and like it is represented as a bunch of squares in the shape of your boat, and there are different points where equipment mounts, and where you take damage. If you get hit in the same place too much, whatever is there will break or will end up lost. So like you are very invested in keeping, not running into stuff because you don't want your engines to go out, or you don't want to lose that really big fish that you just caught. That might have been really valuable, or it might have been one of those special corrupted fish that you can turn in for really good money.
Yeah, you're describing like the main mechanics of the game. Yeah, like you kind of have like a square grid that represents the size of your boat, and that's where you it's like a inventory management system, like the Resident Evil briefcase, where you put all the fish that you catch in there, and they do a good job of having them be kind of like odd and oblong shapes that don't easily kind of fit in like an easy order. You kind of have to think about how you're managing that. But yeah, as you mentioned, if you hit anything, it basically destroys a random slot or a random square in your ship, and whatever's there is either ruined or lost for good. And a bit of a correction, there's like a hull hit points that your ship has. It's kind of like an invisible HP system. And so it's like it varies from like 1 to 5, I think, over the course of the game, which is kind of funny because it's like if you ever like accidentally like blow out your engines or something like that, the move is to just crash into the nearest rock to restart from the last checkpoint instead of trying to slowly sail and get it fixed and cost money. So I think that was a fun meta.
Something's gonna catch you. It'll turn into night. Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, like speaking to the loop of the game is you basically go out during the day and you have a choice of catching fish or exploring a new area, and both of which are attempts to try and make more money to sell to people back at the village. And then you use the money that you get from that to either repair your ship or make upgrades to your ship, which help you better catch fish and better explore other areas. Yeah. I agree with you to what you were alluding to with the meta wearing thin. I do think the loop is fun, and I do think like the upgrade mechanics of the ship, I think those are good. Yeah. But where it kind of runs a little bit dry is it's kind of limited in the areas that you can explore outside of the main island. You have a map of pretty much everywhere that you can go, which I think that's something that maybe could have benefited from having like a fog of war system to not just like lay out like where these like biomes are from the get-go. Yeah. But in each one, even though they kind of are differentiated like artistically and stylistically, you're basically doing the same thing at all these places, which is you will go there, you'll meet a representative who will somehow be taking up residency in that area. For a particular reason. They usually match thematically with what the area is. And they will basically give you a fetch quest to find 3 things and then bring them back to them. And then you'll proceed from there. And so that kind of is what wore thin to me, which is, I didn't think there was enough differentiation there, that it felt very samey. They did a decent job of trying to like make gates at each of the areas so that you couldn't explore it from the offset, but rather needed to unlock some piece of technology to better explore it as like a good sense of progression. So I appreciated that, and that kind of landed. I think one of the parts that they did good was having like a sense of foreboding throughout the early to mid game that you're playing, where I think an important part here is like as you're catching these fish, every so often you'll pick up one and it is different. It is a very weird version of the fish that you've been catching. Like, for example, like one of the early ones is that like might just be bloated with a bunch of like pustules and stuff and doesn't really look like the original fish. And then what's even eerier is like the fishmonger? Is that the term? At the town will be like, oh, I'll pay you extra for those if you catch those. She's like, oh, okay, that's strange. And there's some like good missions that you can get from talking with the townspeople early on, where they're like, oh, hey, can you get this package for me? And like, it'll describe you finding this package that's like dripping out of a corner with this like black ooze and stuff like that. And you hear a faint like murmuring on the inside of the box and stuff. All those details are like awesome. And I really love those. It just doesn't hold. They just don't keep up with that throughout the course of the game. And they don't like, I would have rather seen them like up the stakes with that continually as opposed to it like kind of petering off.
The shame of the game is that it can't decide if it wants to be scary or cozy. And I think that it errs on the side of cozy. I could come up with all kinds of reasons for why they do that. But yeah, I was hoping for things to feel just a little bit more, I don't know. It doesn't need to be like full on intense, like Outlast Whistleblower or anything. It's just they made an interesting space and then didn't go where I wanted with it. So
yeah, the core games that you play, quote unquote, is like when you fish, it's basically like quick time puzzles where it's like you need to hit something at the right time for like fishing puzzles. Or the Dredge has a really interesting game where it's like 2 circles with breaks in them where you need to dodge them and pressing a button will switch between either circle. So it's kind of like this weird like timing mini game. So I mean, the loop I thought was fun. Like I definitely enjoyed doing that, and I enjoyed like being able to upgrade my boat. I was a little disappointed that even like I finished like all the upgrades to the boat, but even with that, you can't really get a configuration of all the items upgraded. Like you can't have like a net and a fishing rod and like a dredge, all at the same time. Like you have to make some sort of sacrifice, which I was a little bit disappointed by.
Did you get the mutant parts?
What do you mean?
From like the various idols, where you get the like the bioorganic like ship pieces and stuff. You should be able to get all of this stuff that way.
Oh, I might not have seen those then. Is that something that's like in a specific corner of the game, or is that like an entire mechanic?
Yeah, so there's like random places where there'll be a some sort of like statue, carving thing where the carving implies a certain type of fish.
Oh,
and
yes.
then you have yeah.
Yeah, I have seen those. I didn't do any of those.
So that's how you do it, is you do those, and the same way you talked about like getting the weird versions of the fish, those basically give you weird versions of the equipment. Okay. And a lot of them are like, oh, this is something that can do this and this.
Usually with some kind of drawback, so you have to like balance them out.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I think I saw most of those. Like, I think I went in after I was like done with the game proper. I went back and looked at like literally like the secrets of the game, or like a walkthrough of the game to see like what I had missed. I saw those, and like, yeah, I saw the statues in game, but like for example, like the sharks were like, I saw that was there, but I honestly just didn't want to go and like try and explore through the world to try and get like every possible shark to put in this like monument. Yeah. Some of them were, I guess, like easier to fulfill than others, where it's like, okay, you need 2 mutated things of any type. You can like, that's fine enough. And that's kind of like something that was kind of carried across the entire game, where it's like when it tried to push you in a direction of like, hey, use like a crabbing net to do this, or use like the trawler net to do this. It's like, I don't know if I really want to do that. And like, I don't know if I like care to like, oh, I definitely want to go fishing at night and do a crab and catch this or whatever. Like, I didn't really have as much fun doing that. I had more fun in like exploring, and I had fun like upgrading my ship and seeing the progression of that. So yeah, I think, one thing I forgot to mention is at any port, there's like basically upgrade gears that you can get, and you can use that to upgrade your technology, and that unlocks the ability to buy upgraded things. So like you start off with like a 2x1 engine that goes, like 20 knots per hour or something like that. But if you commit these gears, you can upgrade larger engines that cost more, and they take up more room in your ship. So you have to upgrade your ship to be able to accommodate those spaces, but you go much faster then. And like that provides a very tangible sense of progression. But yeah. And then I guess I don't know how much to talk about the ending or not. That's like another point where I was just kind of disappointed, where it just seems like it just kind of ended. I did look up and saw that there's like multiple endings, and I did get the one that is better, quote unquote. But I was just kind of disappointed by that too. It just kind of ended, and it didn't really have the progression that I wanted towards the end game, I guess. So
yeah,
I know there's DLC out for it. I don't know if I'm enjoyed it enough to go back and do that. But I do really appreciate like the uniqueness of this type of game, where it's like indie Lovecraftian that's done very well in certain parts, for sure. I do like that. And the nighttime like sense of dread with the fog and like not being able to see the rocks and like crashing into things and having it be very dangerous, like all of that I thought was really well done and presented. So
yeah, I mean, it I don't know. It ended up being like a disappointment kind of thing. Like, okay. For me personally, which is, it speaks to what you're saying, which is like, oh, the premise is really good. It sounds like something, I don't know, fishing horror game. Neat. I would like to see more of this. And then it just kind of petered out. It felt like they ran out of stuff to say with that gameplay wise.
Yeah, I really hope that they make like a sequel, I think, because like I think that could be a very high quality game, since they already have like kind of the framework in place, and I think that is good.
That's the thing. This is a very small studio. I think it was made by 4 people, and the game was very successful. It won a ton of awards. I believe it sold very well. So like they will have more resources for whatever they decide to make next, most likely. So
I mean, my hope is for a Dredge / Dave the Diver crossover,
which they were doing with like sales, like in on Steam, I think. So
yeah.
yeah, that's all I have to say about Dredge. I have one more to talk about. Also a game from a New Zealand studio. It is a game called Abiotic Factor. Has anyone heard of this one?
Yeah, this is
Was that amiotic or abiotic?
Abiotic Factor. So this is the game. It's like multiplayer co-op survival kind of thing, but you're in like a lab where things have gone terribly wrong.
Oh yeah, it's what if you were anyone except Gordon Freeman in Half-Life 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, the setting and aesthetic is like Half-Life 1, but it's a survival game, essentially. I've played this for a while, so this is when I had played it last week or before and stuff, but I just chose not to talk about it because I talked about other things. I've gotten decently far in this. I've probably put maybe like 10 hours into it or so. This is another one where it's like, I'm not sure where to go from here, because I've advanced up the tech tree. So the premise of it is, you're dropped off. It's your first day on the job. You get kind of shuttled down to the depths of this like science lab, and you kind of get stuck there. And then it's up to you to kind of progress through the lab, fight things, and kind of build a base. It's a survival game, so you have to do things like eat food, drink water, heat yourself. Like make a camp and set up like batteries and that sort of thing. Kind of the interesting part of it is like there's different levels to the base, like like different levels of like security and areas that you go to, and as you progress through those, you get better technology, and you kind of progress as a story, and kind of you find out more about what they were doing in the facility. It's interesting. It's kind of a unique take on this sort of game. It does kind of have some. It also has like a upgrade system similar to like the Elder Scrolls games, where the more you sprint, you upgrade your sprinting ability. The more you shoot and reload a crossbow, the more you upgrade your reloading and shooting abilities. So that part is pretty well done, and like the balancing is pretty well done to a point. It's just that for me personally, like I hit a wall. I should mention too, this is an early access game, so I don't want to judge it too harshly since it's not a finished product. But for me personally, I hit a wall where to progress, I need to kill like robots that are roaming around at night. And that takes a lot of damage to do, which I guess I need to invest in other like technologies like traps or something like that. But basically the tools I have are not good enough to do that. So it's like you can make like clubs and you can make a crossbow and things like that. But like I fired, I don't know, like 30 crossbows into a robot and it did not do any damage to it.
Geez.
So sad times. So I think that's something where it's like, hopefully that gets more smoothed out if they do a release for it. I haven't interacted with a multiplayer at all with it, and I think that that's something that could kind of drastically change the experience of the game, where you're making like a group base instead of just kind of like doing things individually.
Each player only needs 10 arrows.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really know how to evaluate this game at a certain point. Like, I don't think I'll probably play too much more of it because I feel like it doesn't. I don't know. This is both like a good and bad thing where it doesn't tell you directly what to do, but I also don't think it should. Like, I think it's good about letting you kind of figure out and make your own missions and kind of go and satisfy your own things that you want to do. Like, oh, this seems like an interesting technology.
That's the appeal of this kind of game, I think.
Yeah. So I like that they do that. However, like there isn't a lot of times you'll have to go and look up and see how things are done, where it's like, for example, they give you kind of this fetch quest where it's like, oh, like you need to talk to somebody who knows about like networking or something like that to unlock this. And it's like, I've gone through the entire map and I've seen some NPCs, but I have no idea like where there would be someone to talk to about this specific thing. So some of that stuff, like it would be nicer if they gave more direction of like either narrowing down where to look for it or something like that. Or likewise, just like somehow billboarding, like whatever the critical next step of what you need to do, like giving you some information about how to do that instead of having to be like, well, I have no idea, so I'm going to go look at the wiki to figure it out. So that's kind of like some of the sticking points of the game. But otherwise, it's an interesting entry in like the survival, like crafting type thing. It's like, yeah, kind of like Valheim with a Half-Life 1 skin sort of thing, for lack of a better way of describing it. They don't have like the same differentiation of biomes like Valheim does, but yeah, I mean, I could see this being as fun as that type of game, a good time killer with friends if you have people who are interested in that type of game. So
taking this genre and setting it indoors mostly is a really good idea. Like that alone makes me more curious about this than any number of like, oh, it's kind of like the forest again.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very unique read on the genre. And and it's cool too. Like when you the way you find out about new technologies is like if you see something in the wild, and I think that's common. But they have this like fun mini game where you have like a picture of a brain, and you have 4 slots, and it's like the slots have different frames based on their type. Like if this is more like a computer technology or more like steel metal type technology or something like that, and you kind of have to figure out the recipe yourself by like putting together these components to like unlocking the idea for it. Yeah. So just like fun little touches like that make it interesting. But yeah, I guess like another thing too is I guess like balancing is mostly my complaints with it, where it's like the other thing is like, since they don't tell you some of the technologies, you can waste some time building certain like heating or like cooking things without knowing how they work, and they won't feed you or give you water the way you expect them to. Oh, jeez. Because like it needs to be like full of this before you can activate this, like that sort of thing. That would be more forgivable if you weren't kind of more down to the wire of having to like need to eat things or drink things before like you kind of get affected by it. That said, I don't think there's like huge punishments if you like die. You just respawn by your base, so it's more just kind of an annoyance. But anyway, it's a game that has potential. I'll definitely like pay attention to it once they come out with another release or have like a 1.0 and that sort of thing. I'll probably go back to it. But there's definitely potential for a good game here. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll be curious about it when it's spent more time in the oven, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That is all I got.
Nice. Well, Moxie, how about you?
Yeah, so I've got just a couple of things. I've been continuing on with Zenless Zone Zero.
Okay.
Which still I think is the lead contender for best name haver of the year so far.
Okay.
Honestly, so I think my only thing to say about this is, continues to be kind of the basic action game. It does have one of the characters appears to be neurodivergent that I actually really like. Okay. She has fairly flat affect, and her understanding of like how the world works is appears to be highly influenced by her love of watching movies.
Okay.
So just for example, there's a bit where she gets tasked with planning out how you're going to defeat one of the bosses, and is told she needs to be professional. And so she proceeds to, her plan entirely consists of like, show up, find the boss, and fight them. But she has made an elaborate map, because in every heist movie she's seen, what a professional does is they have to have a map illustrating their plan.
Okay.
But what I like about the character is actually the way the other characters treat her, in that none of the characters ever seem particularly surprised by her idiosyncrasies. They've just, completely, accepted that she's a member of the team, and just like, oh yeah, she's just, humming our theme music before we fight the boss. And likewise, despite kind of her line delivery being very much just emotionless. All of the characters very clearly treat her like someone who has emotion. So, just, even though she doesn't really show it, treat her as someone that, they're concerned if she might be upset or worried or those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of cool to see that, that way of interacting with that sort of kind of character archetype depicted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
No, I just said it sounds, it's something that is easy to fuck up.
Yep. In a strange way, I think that also is sort of a microcosm of what I think is probably the best part about this game, which is that approach of just the characters kind of just not feeling any need to explain for or be concerned about like how the eccentricities of this character really applies to every character in the game, in that what's a lot of fun is this is a world in which like one of your other characters is an android. And the guy who runs the coffee shop appears to be like a Tin Man style robot. Mm-hmm. There's
Heartless.
The construction company is entirely populated by bears, the furry kind, not the leather kind. Okay. And just there's never like none of the characters ever indicate that like any of this is surprising or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I think probably the weirdest is you buy your morning newspaper and scratch off tickets from a straight up dog, not a dog person, just a dog that has like the voice translator thing. And again, just no one comments on it.
Yeah. Because it's it's establishing its world. Yeah.
The other thing I think just weirdest character design I've seen in a long time is one of the unlockable characters is a shark girl. That it's straight up just a gal in a maid costume who has a shark tail coming off of her butt, and for some reason the shark tail is covered in bumper stickers.
Okay.
Yeah, gotta get sponsors. Maybe she saw the most recent Katy Perry video.
Maybe, I don't know.
I got nothing.
Yeah,
but yeah, no. I mean,
you're selling her short. This is a fetish made outfit that she's in. They're straps and stuff.
Oh well, yeah. I thought that went without saying.
There's other kinds of maid outfits.
Yeah. It's an anime maid. They don't come in a type other than fetish.
I just wanted to, I feel like that was an adjective that was left out if people are trying to, paint a picture of this character in their head.
Holy shit! Is that the most accurate definition of the anime aesthetic? Is that any character can be considered anime if it could conceivably be a fetish for someone?
Anything can be a fetish for anybody. Also, you're stepping into going dangerous ground by trying to make generalized statements about anime. I'm just going to let you know from experience. You might want to tread lightly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
However, if you want to continue down that path, you should definitely post an opinion online about whether Chinese animation is anime.
Oh God!
Definitely nothing bad will happen.
Yeah, no. You get.
That's just good. A game that I think unfortunately might be kind of my Dredge, in that it's a game that I love everything about its aesthetics and like what it's doing with the story and things like that. I just don't like the gameplay that much.
I just heard it's really flat, right? Like you're doing a bunch of really flashy things on the screen, but your input, like you're not making a bunch of choices in the way you're playing. It's just...
Yeah, so the way I explained it is it's presents itself, and in a lot of ways is a stylish action game or spectacle fight or a character action game, whatever you want to call it, like the Bayonettas of the world. Except I would argue gameplay wise, it's probably more like playing a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
In that, like, again, like I'm saying, like, this is a game that I'm kind of about the actual gameplay. But if I was going to defend it, I would kind of say, like, no one really complains that, like, a River City Ransom or a Double Dragon, only has a couple of combos.
Yeah, it's a matter of length too. Like, Double Dragon is incredibly short. Like, it's meant to be played on a couple of quarters on an arcade machine. And River City Ransom, like, you end up like the base gameplay is pretty basic, but like you buy the moves and stuff. Like, it actually can get more complicated, and also it's not meant to be played forever.
Yeah, totally. And like I said, like, I'm definitely not, like I said, I'm probably not going to keep playing it because, unfortunately, the gameplay itself doesn't grab me. I am hoping that maybe this is something they can build upon. Also very important upgrade over the previous game they made, Genshin Impact. It's been several years, and it appears that all of those years were spent on developing jiggle physics.
Yeah. You got to have your priorities straight.
Yep.
No, your priority's bouncy.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like what you want is an anime set in this, or
yeah. I maintain. I mean, it was true of Cyberpunk. It's true of this. Many video games would be better made as animes.
Yeah.
Anything else about that? Otherwise, move on.
No.
So the other thing, which is not at all new, and I think I've technically played before, but kind of getting back into it, is on Steam sale, I bought Dead Rising 4.
Ooh.
That's really deep into Dead Rising.
Yeah. This so I loved Dead Rising 2, and haven't played the other ones. But yeah, so just wanted to give this one a try. Mainly, just I wanted something mindless and fun, which is kind of Dead Rising's whole thing.
Yeah.
So this one, the big pitch inexplicably is that it is all in on being a Christmas game. So yeah, it's set in the same town as Dead Rising 1. They've rebuilt it, and most notably have built like a new fancy super mall. However, on Black Friday, a new infection, a new zombie plague outbreaks in the mall. And you show up there, like, I think 6 weeks later or something, and are trying to investigate the thing.
At Christmas.
Yes, and so everything is Christmas themed, which is really a mixed bag. It's kind of cool seeing, the weird Christmas themed weapons and, beating zombies to death with giant candy canes and stuff like that. Less fun is the fact that means a lot of the soundtrack is Christmas music.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, which is just I know it's the only game I've ever played where I mute the audio when I go into the menus.
Just because too many sleigh bells.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me there's a sleigh bells joke, please.
Oh, there are so many of those things. Also many Nutcracker jokes.
Right.
Overall, pretty good. I'd say I think the best part of it is probably the characterization. I don't know. I did not play the first game, and the second and third, don't have Frank West in them. So I'm not sure if Frank being like a complete asshole is an original part of the character or is meant to be at this point. This is very much like a aged, washed up Frank West. But your character is just an incredible asshole.
Oh, and everybody's begging for his help, and you can't help everybody. Or they reduce that, right? Like they reduce the kind of like the time struggle.
Yeah, so it's not a time struggle. However, to that theme of everyone begging for his help, it actually has what is maybe my favorite line in any video game, just because it catches the spirit of this character so well. There's a part where someone's begs you to save her boyfriend, and will you do it? And your response as you walk away is just probably, but not on purpose.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
And that is very much this character of like you are very selectively competent. You're very good at fighting and taking pictures. You are not actually very in control of the storyline.
Yeah.
A Tokyo Drifter, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes. And that ends up being a lot of fun. There's very much some kind of hard luck type of elements to it. Like you said, they do take away the time thing. And overall, I think that's actually to this game's detriment.
Yeah, I just the time thing was kind of the real identity of the first game. Otherwise, it was a tech demo for how many things you could have on screen moving at the same time, right. And just kind of a tappa beat 'em up where you could hit people with traffic cones.
And the thing that really struck with me about the second game in particular, which is set in basically in like the Vegas casinos, is that it almost had a little bit of a FromSoft type feel in that it was this vast interconnecting playground. And what made it really work is with the time thing, very little, if any, of the area was actually gated, but you were just constantly running around, back and forth across it, doing different things. And so it was almost like the level was one of the main characters. And in this, it's much more story-based, which in some ways is nice, but on the other hand, means there's much more like you go to this area and then you're done, and you go to the next area and then you're done, and then you go to the next area.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, and I could see this being a thing that doesn't affect everyone this way, and is probably going to sound weird, but they've really, really doubled down on the just over-the-top, nonsensical weapon combinations this time around.
Right.
Good.
Which I kind of get, to a certain degree, that's some of the fun. But I preferred how in the previous game, a lot of the combinations were not realistic, but were plausible. Like, you can see, a certain degree of believability of like, I could duct tape chainsaws to either end of a kayak paddle.
Yeah.
Like, that won't work, but you can get it. Whereas this is much more like, if I combine a gun and a computer, I get a rifle that shoots black holes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That does get into one of the good things they do is that all of the weapon combinations, every weapon in the game now has a class it follows, which could be like rifle or ornament or electronics, that sort of thing. And all of the combos are now some specific weapon and that combined with any weapon of a given class. So that's kind of nice. But like I said, it does get really weird when you can turn like a, assault rifle and a t-shirt cannon and any ornament into a basically mortar launcher that fires exploding Christmas ornaments. So yeah, again, that's one. That's very much I could see if you're someone that's going into this entirely for the spectacle, then that very well may be a lot of fun. So I don't think it's necessarily bad.
It sounds like it's kind of jumping the shark, though.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
There's only so far you can escalate. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, but so far I'm enjoying it. I'm interested to kind of see where some of the storyline goes. It is a interesting product of its time in that it has a faction that is like a quirky backroads militia. It's like, that's a lot less funny now.
a little bit, yeah.
So, but yeah, good stuff overall.
I mean, I know this is a question for the internet, but do you know when this game came out?
December 6th, 2016.
Okay. No.
So late enough that they probably should have seen it coming, but not so late that we already knew it had happened.
Right. Well, it was in production for a couple years before that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't have many questions about Dead Rising 4. I just the Christmas game angle seems really strange to me. Yeah.
You got to be really confident you're not going to be delayed out of your launch window.
I don't even know. Well, yeah, it did come out in December, so yeah, I guess you're right. Huh. I don't know. Like,
it does. Oh, go on.
There's plenty of horror movies that are, themed after that are Christmas themed, right? Silent Night, Deadly Night series, others, I assume, Jack Frost. Yeah, like that that happens. It's just weird for a video game, I guess.
Well, it's also weird, especially on a game that I cannot keep track of the idiotic naming convention for these. The second Night of the Living Dead movie, the one in the mall.
Dawn of the Dead.
Right, yes. Time of the Dead. Especially for a game that is where the zombie outbreak starts on Black Friday and is inspired by Dawn of the Dead very directly. It does not seem particularly interested in critiquing consumerism.
No.
It's more like promoting it.
Yeah, more set in the mall to, because like there's a bunch of stuff you can use to hit zombies in there. Yeah. So yeah, Zenless Zone Zero, Dead Rising 4.
Multiplayer.
Now it's time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and you answer. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, sometimes the best stories are found instead of told. So what are some of your favorite examples of environmental storytelling in games?
Yeah. And the post image here is, what's his name, who falls to his death when you leave the first town in Morrowind. Yeah.
Yes. You find the scroll of Icarian flight on him, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And didn't find the scroll of Icarian landing. Yeah. I'll start here. We have Callum, who says, mine is Old Yarnum and Bloodborne. The implied story of a previous hunt where, in desperation, they burnt the whole town in a futile attempt to stop the spreading plague, only to have to seal the fallen district off is awesome. Yeah, Old Yarnum is good, except for, I don't know, I've come around on the boss there, but yeah, bloodletting beast can be, a trial if you're not if you're not parrying stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you're not parrying stuff in Bloodborne, what are you doing?
Well,
Playing the game correctly.
Yeah,
So-
two-handing something probably.
Oh, but you can't do that until after you beat the bloodletting beast.
Two-hand things?
Well, the main that's what gates getting Ludwig's Holy Blade.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
You're not two-handing anything good beforehand.
It's been a while since I played Bloodborne. If I'm being entirely honest with you.
Yeah, that is the Bloodstarved beast is literally.
Yeah.
Oh, am I talking about a different thing?
No. I called it Bloodletting Beast, but it's Bloodstarved Beast. Yeah.
Yeah. That is literally the thing that is why I'll never start a new character on Bloodborne.
You already got past it. You beat him once. It's done.
Never again.
Let's see. Moxie, what does Gwen say?
So Gwen retweeted, I guess, a post by Ben Esposito that says, in game design, quote unquote, environmental storytelling is the art of placing skulls near a toilet.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Where that skull goes says everything about the world.
You know, I this sparks a thought of, you know, you got to put some bathrooms in the level because otherwise the building will just seem unrealistic. But then, you know, they're dead ends that don't go anywhere. What are you going to do? You put your environmental storytelling in there. So that is why we have so much environmental storytelling found in bathrooms.
Yeah.
Combine that with human nature's desire to scrawl on stall walls.
Yes.
And it's the perfect place for it.
Yeah. Surprised I don't see more games do that. I mean, obviously there's Left 4 Dead doing the graffiti in the safe rooms or whatever, but like, you know, bathroom stalls, it's a really good way. Yeah, it works.
Interesting fact. The academic term for that is latrinalia.
Huh. It probably didn't need a word they probably didn't need a word for that.
So one of my college professors was a folklore professor, and for his folk humor class, one of the assignments was you had to go transcribe jokes off of bathroom walls.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm curious how many of those jokes we could repeat on air.
I wish I got jokes on bathroom walls. Usually it's just like names,
It's slurs.
like
Yeah.
slurs sometimes.
Yeah.
Dicks.
Ben, what does Rizana say?
Oh, Rizana has a picture. I might be like Moxie here. Is there text?
There is not, however, this image is from Fallout.
Yes.
Oh, it's a picture of a skeleton. Is that a robot giving it fellatio?
No, it's
No, a fan.
Close.
It's a fan. The skeleton is just kind of like leaning back against a wall, and the fan is pitched forward into its groin. There's what appears to be blood under it. So this person went out. Well, I mean, honestly, the way they came in,
Screaming?
yeah.
Probably.
I don't even know if that's
it's the blood
actually
spray that really gets this. Like that confirms the fan was not placed there later. It was there for.
Yeah.
I hope it was for the death. I hope the person didn't live long after that.
And the bad thing is, because it's a skull, you can't. It always looks happy. So that he's having the time of his life.
I mean, something blowjob.
Yeah. By the cursor, by the color of the cursor, this is New Vegas. I don't remember seeing this. So,
Yeah. Well, I found something actually. So I found something in a Fallout 3 online discussion that maybe elucidates this.
okay.
This is prose here. So it was probably pretty hot in the depths of the Citadel following the detonations. Caught outside his power armor, Senior Knight Anderson was running out of air, and he felt like his blood was boiling. Even without being on fire like the unfortunate souls above, the lack of oxygen and immense heat outside was causing his body to overheat. It was only a small matter of time until the filtration failed, and he ran out of breathable oxygen. Meanwhile, he'd stopped sweating over an hour ago. Shame they didn't store water in the armory and lower offices, huh? Every part of him was hot to the touch, like a small ache all over. He found a small desk fan, still operational to this day. He briefly thought to himself as he started to run out of oxygen, I can make one part of my body cooled off in my final moments. Where should I direct this fan?
Oh, man. People do like writing. They enjoy writing, is the thing about people.
And all these years later, it got used.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that's played 76?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Full stop,
76
not just on the podcast.
Yeah, in general, yeah. So 76, I don't know that it goes as well for like these sorts of gags with actual environmental storytelling, but it does really doubles down on just weird stuff with that. So you'll find a lot of things where like you'll come upon like a teddy bear holding several other teddy bears hostage with like a gun or stuff. Just weird stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So for mine, I was talking in the break in between segments. It's going to be hard for me to come up with a non-Souls one. But I just have to bring the classic. The fact that you find the god-killing weapons, the occult weapons, stashed away in the capital city alongside Havel's stuff. Gives plenty of character and casts a whole bunch of intrigue on a bunch of people in the story, and like one person who just exists as an armor set. Just like that one little detail showing this otherwise very faithful person's distrust in the gods he's serving is one of the best touches, and people were probably expecting me to say that. And I am just going to lean into it. That is,
and I did.
It's like a keystone moment for unlocking like the way that stories are told in Souls games, right? Yeah. Let's see. Moxie, how about you?
So I don't know if this completely counts, but one of my favorite approaches to this is the like Fallen London or Cultist Simulator approach, where it's not exactly environmental because it's all text, but it's just basically depicting a world and having different from the snapshots you're given kind of dropping various facts that the player can then, if they choose to, put together to have a greater understanding of what's actually happening in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a combination of show, don't tell, but combined with the fact that because this is interactive, you can miss the text, and those missing pieces might be a connection between something else, or it is using careful omission. Yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah.
And also with these, since, both of them are games that are largely about occultism, they get a lot of mileage out of, certain ideas will have a symbol or a motif associated with them. So that creates a lot of room for very, very easily and effectively, having some motif show up somewhere where it doesn't seem to belong, and that then giving you some idea of like, oh, these two things are actually connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I think I came in with a couple different answers in mind, but I am going to switch and go with the original Left 4 Dead. I think because it just punches so far above its weight, where it's like, as far as like, I feel like it's one of the few things that like invented like the scribbling on the walls. Like like giving backstory to what was going on there, or just their choice of like where to take you in the game, like whether it's to like the hospital or like the airport or like farms where people are trying to survive there. Like all those things are just like nice little flourishes of like world building that, again, it's like any other game that would do this, they'd just kind of be like thoughtless areas that don't really have anything to do with the greater picture, but they put a lot of care in that.
It's weird that their multiplayer cooperative game, where you're moving faster than any other game that they've made, is where a particular strength of Valve comes to the fore the most, right?
Yeah.
Because they've always been really good at, putting those environments together and inferring story based on the arrangements and stuff. But like, I don't know, it's not just the text on the walls for laying out what happened in these places. It's good. It's a combination of a bunch of different things. Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, mine is going to come from RoboQuest, which is the arcade shooter with robots that I've talked about before. But throughout your runs, you pick up these little lore tidbits that are attached to collectibles, and they tell stories of different characters going through the world. One of them is from a Superbot, which is one of the like little dinky bad guy robots that has turned good and decided to save the world and his hijinks. And then as you go through the doorway to the final boss, you can find his body lying on the side.
Oh,
poor little guy made it all the way and couldn't finish the job. But nicely, they eventually brought him back as a playable class.
no.
Oh,
So
Got a good ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
can you still find your own body? Because that would be amazing.
I need to check that. I actually haven't looked. So interesting.
Nice. Thanks, folks, for participating. If you want to participate in the multiplayer, you can watch for the prompts to go up in the Duckfeed community group on Monday afternoons. And thank you, Dennis, for posting.
Yes, indeed.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. Dennis, what is happening in the world of Warhammer?
Yeah, so there was a giant leak where the game Warhammer Space Marine 2 was released to the public, or at least a build of it. And this is a game that is follow-up, obviously, to the first one that is very popular in that community. And so, I guess people wanted it out there to try. But the dev has responded to it. And it gives a little window into just how much games change in development. They acknowledged the how great the community has been, and then they said that the build that's out there that is being shared is will actually be a year behind the actual release. So there is a year's worth of polish and changes and everything between what was released or what was leaked and what will be released as the final game.
Yeah.
So yeah, they ask people to please, avoid spoilers, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought it was just interesting that, a leaked game can be very, very different than what is actually intended to go out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, notwithstanding that, okay, it's a year behind, but most games don't come together until the last couple months,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to play it as a curiosity, but you see people passing judgment on a leaked game, oh my gosh, this looks like shit, and it's what are you, fucking 12? And then you realize, yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's unfortunately true.
Is it Amy Hennig who's the person who worked at Naughty Dog who created Uncharted? I can't remember if that's her name or not. Anyway,
yeah, she worked on that.
She described it. She described game development as putting a puzzle together upside down and then turning it over at the end and seeing if there's anything there.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the leaked copy of Warhammer Space Marine 2 is definitely a puzzle upside down.
Yeah.
So in case anyone is curious about that, there will be a lot that has changed between what comes out officially and what was leaked unofficially.
That kind of thing only gets interesting after the main game is released you know, like as a curiosity, like, all right, so like it gives you insight into maybe ideas that they had that they might have thrown away. Like I'm generally happy when this kind of thing does happen, regardless. Like it's terrible for the developers and, you know, all of that, but like, I don't know, it can give you some insight if you're not treating it as a, you know, sneak peek. Oh, this is the game they meant to play before blah blah blah.
Yeah. It's basically an inverse director's cut.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, 100% where this goes is if you're a real fan, you like the leaked version of the game.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. People are going to be dipshits about everything. Moxie, what is happening in the world of video game making tools?
Yeah, so the company that makes RPG Maker released a trailer for their next game? Question mark?
Toolset?
Which is going... Yeah, Toolset, I guess, which is going to be Action Game Maker. The trailer seems to imply that this is a something for making platformers. However, the title would seem to suggest maybe you could make other genres. Mm-hmm. But either way, this should be a game that, if it's anything like RPG Maker, it kind of hits that sweet spot of, being very approachable, but having sophisticated enough tools that you can actually make a real game. Mm-hmm. And, just like RPG Maker, they say it's going to come with, a whole bunch of stock assets and stuff like that. There are enough to, make at least a basic game. Mm-hmm. And what they have actually looks pretty cool. It appears to be, a lot more sophisticatedly animated than what you'd see in like a side-scrolling Mario game, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. This seems pretty cool. I'd love to see what people make with it.
The question is going to needs to be asked. Will the ecosystem of porn games be as robust with this as it is for RPG Maker?
I mean, jiggle physics.
I mean,
it's
you
harder
talked
to
about the
play an
animation.
action game. It's harder to play an action game with one hand than an RPG.
But, you can design around that.
Sure.
I'm shaking my head right now. I just want it to be known.
No, it's cool. I'm happy to see that company, making these kind of tools available, like there's actual, just game maker software or whatever, but I don't know. There's always room to fit into a kind of an empty space of complexity, right?
I like that is you pay up front and they don't have a recurring charge model like other game engines.
Yeah,
that's nice.
It's just the thing, like the RPG Maker stuff is just it's just stuff that goes on sale on Steam. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm curious. Action games tend to be built around like a fairly bespoke hook, like some mechanic or ability that like informs what is different about this game. Whereas RPGs, a lot of times it's more the story elements and stuff like that.
And the stats.
So I'm curious how an action game maker will account for those ideas that, hey, this I want my thing to be able to warp back in time by 3 seconds, or I want my person to be able to vorpal jump, or whatever. But how many of those can you anticipate and bake in up front?
So it looks like it's going to, at the very least, have some sort of visual programming feature, so that you could do things like, I don't know, when I jump and, this, situation is there, then do this. So that would suggest to me that at the very least you'd be able to probably implement like Metroidvania type power-ups and abilities. Mm-hmm. But like you said, whether you could do, for example, like a Sands of Time thing, seems a little bit less likely.
I mean, give people enough time and a limited tool set can become something ridiculous,
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough.
So makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I think my worry is just how like again how dependent action games are on that sort of thing versus the RPG counterparts.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I'm excited for it. I'll probably poke around.
Yeah.
My story is, man, nothing important. I just wanted to. It's been a rough week, so I wanted. It's only Tuesday. Fuck. I want to get something light.
Sometimes you need a puff piece.
Yeah.
Puff piece.
So this is a story about getting Doom to run on something you wouldn't expect Doom to run on. People have been doing this. It is basically a standing challenge to try and get Doom to run on to run on stuff. Like
I was going to say, trick question. There's nothing that I don't expect Doom to run on.
Right. Like I'm looking at one right now of just Doom running on a TI-84 powered by potatoes. Obviously Doom running on, just the internal logic of a game like Minecraft, stuff like that, running on LED screens on printers. My favorite one is not running Doom, but displaying Doom on the LCD screen of a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
It only just barely technically works. But kind of in that same vein of the pregnancy test, somebody who's very well known for doing a bunch of this kind of stuff, Aaron Christoffel, has managed to get Doom running on a sex toy. Very specifically, it is a fleshlight that has a screen.
Now, I would have expected, as with all technology, that this sort of modding would have started with sex toys instead of ending there.
I
mean, porque no los dos.
Right, right. It's So I imagine it is just the relative paucity of sex toys with displays. You know. I don't know what the screen on this one does. Like, it's not just a fleshlight. It's not just an object. It's very much an object. But like, it's got it
has a name. All right.
Right.
This is the eye sex toy.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's got
there
design.
actually is some sex toy protocols where you can, as I understand it, program into your porn to when it should vibrate or suck or whatever in order to sync with the action on screen.
Yeah. So that's what this feels like. It does feel smart.
That's what it feels like.
I've never,
interesting choice of words.
Yeah. Or that's what it seems like to me. I had to be really careful with that.
All right, wait. I have an idea. Like, what if you synced up this in Doom for every time you got a kill, then it would activate some sort of feature on the sex toy?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Kill?
Yeah, that's what this is. So, because this is able to sync up to stuff, it is running on the display, like it's running on the internal hardware of this thing. But every time you get a kill, it does what that toy does, which is kind of manually move back and forth. Yeah, and so if you want it to keep going, you have to keep killing demons. So
sounds like the premise of a movie.
It is. It's almost the movie Crank starring Jason Statham.
That's a great movie.
I think it's the version of the movie Crank that they wanted to make.
So yeah, just throw this up there with. I think it was a while back we were talking about, what was it, Ultra Kill, that added the butt plug sync, which is just a protocol that is added to games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Good for them. Seems like a lot of money to spend on a sex toy, but I am not your dad. So go with God.
You're his daddy. Yeah.
different thing.
Oh no, I just got to the part of the video where he's like breaking it down, so taking it apart to show, and you get a much better look at how the inner workings of this toy work than I ever really wanted to have.
Discretion's the better part of valor.
The textures on the inside of those things are they're not what you would expect, I guess.
And if you look at certain websites, they, in extreme detail, lay out what they are, and yeah.
What the purpose of
They
it
have
is.
classification systems.
This one's your shotgun. This one's your rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that. It's just a fun, goofy story. Nothing charged. I almost said nothing loaded.
This is the least absurd thing that I have seen this week.
Ben, do you have a story?
I don't have a story per se. I have a monthly dunk on Suicide Squad where the day we're recording this is Prime Day and it is free, and I am still not getting that game. So.
Oh, hell no. Wait, can we look? Let's look at Steam charts and see if there's been a jump in playership.
Well, you have to link it to your Epic account. That's part of the reason why
I
didn't even entertain the idea. So.
Boy.
Of course you do.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Apparently, Suicide Squad Isekai, or however that's pronounced, is pretty good, though.
the anime, the Harley Quinn one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that's good.
What is I had never heard the isekai or isekai. I never heard that before in my life, and now it seems to be everywhere. So who decided this was the new kind of game that was going to be everywhere? It's like the new Match 3 or something.
I mean,
it's less game than anime.
Yeah, it's not a game thing. It's like just anything that is the concept of like a character, in the real world is pulled into a story or a game or a fictional work.
Okay, so like Ni no Kuni is technically an isekai.
Yeah. People get,
or like technically Lion Witch in the Wardrobe is.
Sure, yeah.
So is that are you going into a book with that? I thought it was just I thought it was just another land. Like for my mind, it has to be like a work of fiction that they're going into.
I don't think so. My understanding is it's anytime it's being transported to a different world.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, like because like a lot of them are. Like in anime, a real popular one is it being someone being reincarnated.
Yes. Yeah.
Guess how many current players there are on Suicide Squad?
How many?
200.
There are 260, and that was a gain of 84 players versus the previous 30 days.
Fucking bleak, man. I feel bad for those developers.
Yeah.
So to answer this though, I think a lot of it is it's a really easy way to get into, to get your character into a scenario, whatever you do. So if you look at least in the anime, a lot of them tend to be very high concept, by which I mean most of them lay out their entire concept in the title of the anime.
Yes. Yeah.
There's literally one called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Vending Machine and Now I Wander Around the Dungeon.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it also, I thought we were going to go with it, is this lends itself to fan insert.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that could explain the popularity as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. This has been the Isekai Hour on The Level.
Yeah. Digimon's an Isekai, Captain N, the old Nintendo cartoon. Yeah. Just people get real particular about it. They're going to say like, oh, this counts and this doesn't, but like we're close enough. Please. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Let's button.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 508. We greatly appreciate you taking the time. If you want to help us out, you can leave a rating or review. You can subscribe on Patreon. You can spread the word, any of those kind of things. Participate in the multiplayer. Please go to the Duckfeed community group on Facebook for that, for those prompts when it happens. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
Not on that front, I don't think.
All right. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games, and you can find Deck of Wonders on Kickstarter August 1st.
Oh, for the new is this for the reprint or is this for the expansion as well?
Yes.
Okay.
It's both. So if you have the game or if you missed out on it, you'll be able to get everything in this Kickstarter. I'll also be at Gen Con, which also starts August 1st, running events. So if you happen to be there, you can come play Deck of Wonders and then back it.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, okay. Now it's your turn,
Sorry,
Moxie.
that was a long one for me.
Moxie.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. All right, I only have one, but I'm pretty convinced of it. Corn on the Cob was there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I just that phrasing really tickles me. Other people, Dennis, did you have any?
I wrote down 2. I had Inverse Director's Cut,
Okay.
and then from late in the game, the Isekai Hour.
If we named it that, people get very upset at us.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Just trying to trip all the fandom wires in this episode.
Wait, so that's the name we're going with?
No, it's not. Sorry.
So I had 2. I had Everyone Sounds the Same on Fire.
Oh
And,
my god.
and the Godzilla arc.
Okay. Ben, did you have any?
I wrote down 1. I wrote down My Dredge, like that is my Dredge or whatever, because I thought
Yeah.
it sounded cool. But then you also reminded me one. I want to throw a shout out to MC Rib because I thought that was a funny joke.
Oh man, MC Rib. Yeah. I really like Corn on the Cob was there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Fair.
Yeah. All right, well, it is decided.